with no whistle.
Could it just be that Caitlin Clark is like one of the most talented
she is
women
talented.
basketball players
There's no question
in the history of the country? She comes on, she does amazing things, and then people say people say all of a sudden I'm now interested in something I wasn't before. Look at the attendance, look at the viewership, and then they watch the games, and she's constantly being abused. She was stabbed in the eye last night.
Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this. And instead of giving her credit, y'all tried to make it about, oh, y'all poo-pooing the old guard. Y'all never talked about the old guard like this. Nah, I ain't gonna let it slide. Caitlin Clark, unanimous rookie of the year. But what's even more impressive, she's first team WNBA.
100% she intentionally poked Caitlin Clark in the eye. And I don't understand why women on The View and all these other places are trying to act like it's about racism. They're trying to act like it's somehow virtuous that women are degrading and trying to eliminate Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. Let's keep it real. Put the color aside. The girl can just play ball. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the merch link. It'll pop up somewhere around here on the screen. Obviously, I'm not in the office right now. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going to speak at the University of Memphis. I'm actually doing like a little, like Charlie Kirk does, where it's like the guy on campus where you do Change My Mind. It's going to be incredible. But anyway, that's why I'm here. Let's get into this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about this Caitlin Clark thing real quick. I think that what's happening is that Caitlin Clark's success is exposing America's racism, and racism in the opposite. Because many people want to tell you or want to convince us that racism is black against white. If you ask me, and I'm being completely honest, this is how I feel, and I can prove it, I can back it up with stats, I can back it up with just the clip I'm about to show you, is that minorities are far more racist against black people or against white people than white people against minorities. It is unequivocal. They are, or it's not an equal balanced perspective. It is far more racism from black people and minorities against whites. All these women NBA players get into the league and they're just not that good, or they're really, really good, but they don't have the character. They're dirty players. They dress like dudes, so they don't have a sex appeal. They're just not marketable. And Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese get to the league. Look at the difference. Caitlin Clark is a better player. Just look at her stats. Now, whether the team wins or not is a team effort. But just look at Caitlin Clark's stats. Caitlin Clark is by far better than any of the women that went into the WNBA this year. And if you look at her stats this year, she's been killing it. And obviously, she's the best player on the team, so she's a target. And so with that being said, her ability to overcome adversity and to perform well is showing true. Obviously, she made Rookie of the Year, and people don't like that. Now, are these women just intentionally trying to hate on Caitlin Clark because they don't want her in the league? No, I just think some of these women are dirty players, and the spotlight is on Caitlin Clark. She's so good, and she's bringing in so much revenue, and she's such a popular influx and success to the WNBA that when they poke her in the eye, it's obvious, and people are going to be upset about it, and it's a dumb business move. You know, in the NFL, they say, oh, people made business decisions, meaning that they didn't go for that tackle that they should have because they're trying to save their career. Well, how about you just not try to intentionally poke Caitlin Clark in the eye to further your career and try to win the playoff game? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to play the clip because I want y'all to see this clip of her getting poked in the eye. The bottom line is this: women struggle with this more so than men do. Is the crab in the bucket mentality. Minorities suffer from it more than anybody else, and women suffer from it more than any other group. Women cannot stop the crab in the bucket mentality. If a woman is doing good, they start hating on each other too much. I'm not saying men don't do it. Women just are prolific at it. Caitlin Clark gets into the league, instead of the league just being great, happy for her and making all that money, they start hating instead of embracing the fact that the girl's just talented and it's her time. God picks certain people. You can't, hey, get with the program. But let me just say this, because I'm already 4 minutes into the video. I want to show you the clip of Caitlin Clark getting poked in the eye. You tell me if you think it was intentional.
With no whistle. Now there's nothing Indiana.
You seen it? Ain't nobody go for a ball like this and then their hand go down like this. You go to block the ball, you would think she would do this or to poke an eye like this. How are you going to go for the ball like this and then have your hand come down and hit her right in the eye? Intentional. Now, people are mad and people are getting racial. Watch this clip on, I think it's CNN or somewhere, some of these news stations, where they got 3 black women teaming up on white people, trying to make this a racist thing, and that people just don't like her because she's white. I mean, they like her because she's white, and in reality, I like her, and I'm not white. Roll the clip.
You say that this is a mirror of what we're living in our broader society.
I feel like sports, politics, and culture always intersect. I think the story of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the rivalry, which really isn't a bad rivalry or a true rivalry on the court, is a good thing. I understand that both of these young ladies, and I'll relate it to the race in just one moment. Both of these young ladies were already defined, and they already had to play roles before they even stepped on the court, just based on where they come from, how they were raised, and how they conduct themselves. So when we see Angel Reese doing the "you can't see me" ring finger to Caitlin Clark, the optics of this black girl really taunting this white girl was hard for all of America to see. They're like, how dare, how dare? But that is a rite of passage. When you win, that's how you play sports. You have the right to trash talk. But the reason why this relationship, this rivalry is so compelling is because it's what this country is built on. It's black and white. Yeah. And if people want to be interested in black and white, take a look at the race. When did the race get really interesting? When a black woman entered the race. And then now we have all of these conversations about whether or not Kamala is black enough. Is she too black? Was she doing things she wasn't supposed to be? And there are all of these racial issues that are coming up that have nothing to do with the election, and that is exactly what's happening with this.
I don't think people even know what Caitlin Clark's politics are.
Well, they got to
by the way,
I don't even think her liking a post suggests that she's endorsing
let me just explain, because I think if anybody missed it, Taylor Swift did her post endorsing Kamala Harris and encouraging people to vote. Caitlin Clark liked this post, which caused a huge uproar because I think people assumed that she was, because she's white, that she is conservative or Republican. I don't know.
But it wasn't just that, though, Abby. I think the issue is that there were a lot of people who called themselves fans of Caitlin Clark's, and frankly, and I know you found this, Carrie, that the reason that they became so vocal about their fandom of her was because they were using her as a wedge and a weapon against the black women in the league.
And they co-opted the narrative because the league, the WNBA is the league of LGBTQIA. Like you just don't want to. It's a third of the league is, and they're black women, and you can't really market that to America. So here you have this woman from Iowa who they think is hetero and living the life that she is supposed to live, and accordingly, and doing all the things that represents basketball.
So we've just projected all this.
We have projected.
I think that's onto these basketball players.
Couldn't it just be that Caitlin Clark is like one of the most talented
women
basketball players
There's no question
in the history of the country? She comes on, she does amazing things, and then people say all of a sudden I'm now interested in something I wasn't before. Look at the attendance, look at the viewership, and then they watch the games. And she's constantly being abused. She was stabbed in the eye last night.
She was not stabbed in the eye.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
And by the way, why don't you bring up that elbow that she gave another player on the court? It was physical.
There's one thing I think we can all agree upon.
She got stabbed in the eye.
Even if people believe that this is a reflection and a microcosm of where the country is, there are really rarely 2 young women who are doing a better job than the adults in this country. Than Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. They are standing, like Caitlin Clark, she had to stand there and not, what was it? She didn't get MVP, she didn't get something, and they were like, all these cameras in her face, and she's a young 20-something woman, and she's like, it makes me want to be better. I want to be a better player. This is, our political leaders could learn more from these 2 women being able to stand. Oh, I think so. Because you know what?
I want our political leaders to make more waves.
They put it aside and they focus on the win.
One more layer to this discussion, because Caitlin Clark she burns my soul.
Does she now?
And I have to admit that.
because of the simple fact that I'm
Okay.
a huge South Carolina Gamecock fan, and Don Staley is like Jesus, Martin Luther King, and Don Staley in my household. But I will say this, Caitlin Clark has done an amazing job at handling the scrutiny and handling the press. And one of the layers that I will add on to this, and it's a little bit different from the way we discuss race and American politics, is that the men who discuss the WNBA, specifically Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith, just don't know shit about women's basketball. And when you have that layer of anti-intellectual debate that manifests itself within this discussion, it makes it a cancer. And so, yeah, we're having these debates. And so it's not just Scott talking about that she got scratched in the eye, or what did you say?
It was post.
Stabbed. It wasn't
Stabbed
in the eye. But it's when you're having these robust discussions about who was the best player in the WNBA, or WNBA MVP voting, or who should be in the WNBA finals, and you have these people who just don't know about it but are inserting themselves in the conversation, it provides for a more cancerous narrative than we deserve.
And to add on to that, Bakari, we also should mention that Angel Reese has had to be subjected to an incredible amount of racist abuse because of this rivalry.
Now I got to defend Kim Mulkey and Angel Reese.
But
I didn't say Kim Mulkey.
I think both of these ladies, I think both of the camps, I think camps that love Angel Reese and camps that love Caitlin Clark have been especially nasty to both of these young ladies while trying to defend them. And what they're doing is co-opting their own issues and their beliefs, and they're putting them on these young ladies. And that's when I said it was already decided that Caitlin was going to be America's darling, and that villain, and that Angel Reese was going to be a villain based on how she conducts herself and based on the way
until she ran into some Gamecocks last year and Raven Johnson.
It's a typecast that fits very conveniently into how society wants to see.
Of course, it's the same thing with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
I think your point about projection is right.
But it helps the sport. You need
totally
inertia.
Competitives. You need a story.
You need this storyline. You need people to
I just
look
it didn't come with the toxicity.
But that's what this country's built on, young friend.
It is built on toxicity.
I think your point about projection is right. People are looking at this as a projection of themselves, and they support one side or the other. The WNBA is having one of their most successful seasons. Women's sport is on the rise, whether it's basketball or soccer. Yes. And there are two young women in this country who are standing up and facing the most
and they like
scrutiny.
Each other.
And they like each other.
And you know what's
celebrate women's sports and women's success.
They live at the intersection of unity and also peace because they do enjoy one another.
They like each other.
And we got to get Kayla some goggles. That's all I'm saying. We got to get her some goggles.
Oh, my God.
Those eyes.
Yes, I know.
The chaos agent.
It's dangerous out there.
And then finally, you heard them reference Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe. And Bakari Sellers is such he's such a wankster to me. It is insane. Bakari Sellers is the most emasculated man on television other than Don Lemonhead. He's emasculated. He can't stand up for anything. He has to take the side of the women, the side of black people, because that's his career and that's his job. I'm just saying, he never have a real opinion on his own. Bakari Sellers says that Shannon Sharpe don't know what he's talking about. I guarantee you, if Shannon Sharpe and Bakari Sellers got in the room, Shannon Sharpe know more about the WNBA. He literally did sports for I don't know how many years after being a Hall of Fame football player. Shannon Sharpe is a Hall of Fame football player, first and foremost. He knows sports. He know how to work hard. He know what it's like to be on a big stage. Bakari Sellers, I don't think Bakari Sellers has done anything. And if he did, I'm wrong. Let's move on. Shannon Sharpe used to do broadcasting, sports broadcasting. He know way more than Bakari Sellers. But Bakari Sellers is a wankster. So listen to what Shannon Sharpe said, and I agree with Shannon Sharpe 100%. Wrote a clip.
Stephen A., I would be remiss if I didn't say this. A lot of this noise came by people that were sitting on this network. They tried to minimize her, said, well, you giving her all this credit. What about the women that came before her? What the women came before her, what they did cannot be taken away. That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. But there was a lot of people tried to make sure they keep Caitlin Clark in her place because what you're doing, if you give her all this shine, you minimize what they done. You can't minimize what Maya Moore or Candace Parker or Lisa Leslie or Lauren Jackson Jackson or Diana Taurasi or Simone Augustus or any of the other great players. That Caitlin Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done, but we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings, we saw the merchandise sales, we saw the attendance, but y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this. And instead of giving her credit, y'all tried to make it about, oh, y'all poo-pooing the old guard. Y'all never talked about the old guard like this. Nah, I ain't gonna let it slide. Caitlin Clark, unanimous Rookie of the Year. But what's even more impressive, she's first team WNBA. First.
In 2024, the WNBA is estimated to bring in $200 million in revenue. Just for comparison, the NBA is expected to earn $13 billion. The WNBA has historically lost around $10 million per season.
There's nothing more to say. There's nothing more to say. It's sad that the black people are making us all look bad. Why can't people of the melanin have more common sense and have a balanced argument and perspective? They bring on 3 knucklehead black people to just race bait. When are they gonna stop this? Because I'm telling you, they're making us look bad. Because when I go places, I have to try to differentiate. Oh yeah, I'm not like the rest of these idiots that are out here making everything about race instead of just saying Caitlin Clark is a great basketball player. She has great character. The reason I like her is not just because of skill level, because she has good character. You see in the press conference, she's like, yeah, it wasn't intentional. It's all good. It's part of the game. I'm okay now. She moves on. That's maturity. That's somebody that you can get behind. That's somebody you can put a brand behind. You know she's going to outlast, the 8-year contract because she has good character. Not somebody doing this and cussing and getting flagrant fouls and doing all this sort of stuff, cheap shotting people, poking them in the eye. Nobody can really trust you, even though you probably have good skills, that you're a good brand representative. And that's something that I feel like minority people have not gotten and white people have gotten a long time ago. The reason why white people are more successful, generally speaking, than black people. It's just the truth. The average black person is not thinking about certain things that white people are thinking about. They're not thinking about generational wealth the way white people are thinking about it. They're not thinking about, oh, let me have good decorum and be generous and kind, generally speaking, like white people do. It's like we living in 2 different worlds. And I think that affects black people in a negative way more so than anybody else, when it's an easy cultural change and fix that can really elevate the perception of black people across the world. But instead, we get on TV and we're the dumbest people in the room, especially on these CNN and ABC networks. Anyway, I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out.